these are the most exciting games because our entire MMO community basically lives on copium.
The League of Legends based MMO coming from Riot.
Yeah, that'll be here in the next day. Honestly, here's the hot take. I think that we will get the Riot MMO, which is still in development, by the way, confirmed. They just had to restart on it. I think that we will get this before Ashes of Creation. I'm just saying. A decade of bad MMOs. Oh, God. Are we on here? We're not on here, are we? No, we're good. Wait, is Throne on here? Wait, how is Throne didn't even make the list? Throne didn't even make the list!
Us MMO fans know all too well, it's disappointment. Frankly, looking back on the last decade of the genre, it's been mostly one letdown after another. We have had a few games stand out from the crowd and make a name for themselves for sure, but otherwise there have been far more failures than successes in this corner of the games industry. I think mostly I'm just disappointed at how stagnant the genre has felt over these last 10 or so years. So stagnant, in fact, that a bulk of the most popular MMOs today are the exact same ones that were the most popular 15 to 20 years ago. It's like nothing has changed and there's been little advancement, which just blows my mind if I'm being...
I would argue that we've regressed a lot of cases, mainly because, bro, the systems are not as fun as they used to be. I don't know what it is. Devs just can't figure out why players liked PvP back in the day. They can't figure out why players liked dungeons before. They can't figure out why players liked certain mechanics and systems, right? They can't get it right, man. I don't get it.
Being honest, the MMO genre was trucking along through the 90s and early 2000s. We saw quite a lot of diversity in these games with some great advancements from one to the next. Then, of course, World of Warcraft hit the scene in 2004 and broke into the mainstream. Yes, sure, the general public vaguely knew about games like EverQuest prior to that, but that was mostly through news reportings about how evil the game was. But when WoW hit, MMOs finally arrived into the public's consciousness as a thing that people knew lots of other people enjoyed. The genre continued steaming forward from there. We saw quite a few MMOs released between 2004 and 2010. In fact, I still to this day remember those early to mid 2010s very fondly, when WoW was arguably at the time at its peak and everyone else was looking to grab a portion of that audience. You
know, for a long time I regretted not trying World of Warcraft in its peak. And then I remember why I didn't play WoW. And it's because I was playing StarCraft. And I don't regret it. Because StarCraft is a better game. Fuck with me.
We were getting several new
StarCraft 2, just a better game. Don't care.
MMOs every single year.
I don't regret it.
As a result, this was a great time for me personally. I mean, sure, all of these games were not bangers. I'm not looking back with rose-tinted glasses here. They weren't all great, and most of
StarCraft 2 is also a dead game. I didn't say that Blizzard took care of it over the years. Let's be honest. Blizzard did not take care of any of their games. Okay, look where their games were when they launched. They're good at making games. They're not good at managing them. They're great at making cinematic trailers and making games. Everything else is downhill.
Them didn't stick around, but there were a few gems in there that I thoroughly enjoyed. For example, in 2010, we had Dragon Nest and Vindictus, both games I had a lot of fun playing. Then in 2011, we saw the release of Rift, DCUO, Star Wars The Old Republic, and...
That's the first one I played. The first MMO I ever tried was Star Wars The Old Republic. I hated... So I wanted a game with skill expression because I was young back then. I was a young buck. Remember, StarCraft 2 gamer. I wanted a game that I could demonstrate that I could go pro in esports. I could show everybody how good I was at video games, right? So League of Legends, good example. StarCraft 2 is a good example. I mean, Fortnite wasn't out back then, but things like that, right? You have those dreams of going pro as a professional gamer when you're a kid. You want that skill expression. And in MMOs, I'm like, what am I going to do? Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Idiot. Now I play Throne and Liberty. Yeah.
Runeterra. I played most of those as well. In 2012, we got Guild Wars 2, which is a game I still play to this day, as well as The Secret World, another game that really innovated and brought something fresh to the genre. 2013, we had Defiance. That was a lot of fun. Marvel Heroes and Neverwinter, which I absolutely loved, besides the cash shop. Then, of course, there was old school RuneScape, and
worst game that's ever been released in the history of ever. Don't care. I hate it. I hate it. Okay, the only reason I hate old school RuneScape is because I see Black Desert Online as an objectively stronger version of old school RuneScape. It's got the long, grindy, long-term progression with way better graphics and combat and everything. And everybody keeps playing RuneScape instead of BDO, and it's the most frustrating thing. I hate it. Everybody's got 4090s in their computer. They're loading like Minecraft up. I hate it.
And then Final Fantasy XIV saw A Realm Reborn that year. And then in 2014, holy crap, what a year that was, with the Arcade beta, unarguably the best iteration of that game. There was
I think the new Arcade is coming out this year.
Elder Scrolls Online, which is another game that I still play.
Objectively, everyone else is playing it, bro. I know. Everybody is playing old school RuneScape. Everybody plays that game. I just don't get it. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Every single year. Black Desert Online, I was absolutely obsessed with for quite a while. And then both Firefall and Wildstar, both of which I also played a real lot. All of that in a single year, 2014, man. That was a jam-packed 12 months of new MMOs. Let me tell you, I had a blast. And
we are getting one amazing MMO this year. It's called Chrono Odyssey. I know. Damn, that copium tastes good. But also, I heard from a little birdie that got to play the game, like actually play Chrono Odyssey and like test it. It's really good. I heard it's really good. So I am excited for it.
I recall during the...
Looking forward to Dune. Oh, that shit's gonna tank. Yeah, we're all looking forward to Dune. It's gonna be the best week and a half of our lives. Yeah, best week and a half of our lives. We're all gonna play it right into the ground. I hope that Dune is good. I hope that I'm wrong. I do. I hope that I'm wrong. But man, I have seen knockoff games from this shit from like movie series and book series before. The first week's gonna hit? Of course it is. Like, I hope that I'm wrong, bro. Quote me on it, dude. I hope that I'm wrong. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna have fun with it. It's open world PvP and a survival MMO. Of course I'm gonna play it. God, we're gonna have fun with it. But I'm really worried about the combat and some of the gameplay. The systems look great. I have videos on my YouTube channel about it. The systems look really cool. I'm not worried as much about the systems as I am. Like, the graphics are like not great, but like I don't really care about that. I care more about the combat, the melee combat, and especially in the Dune universe, the melee combat is like really important. The melee combat does not look very good. And then they admitted that they only started working on the melee combat like 2 months ago. Bro, cooked.
Those years, just being so excited at the steps and evolutions that these games were taking. And I just assumed back then that this trend would continue going forward, and like 5 or 10 years down the road, we would continue getting more new, interesting twists, takes, and advancements on the genre. Sure, I expected many of them would flop, as many prior had. I figured a few would stick around, right? Right? But no, that's not what happened. There has been a handful of new MMOs in like the past decade that have done decently well, but most of them haven't. Like, we got Albion Online that launched in 2017, and that's actually still going quite strong. It's a contender in the top 10 of this genre. But beyond that, I mean, I guess in 2021, we had New World, which showed a lot of potential.
Sure. We had New World. Had. Past tense. Anyways.
And it was fun for about a week or two. And then in 2022, we got Lost Ark, which was also fun for about a week or two, up until you hit the pay to wall that kicked in at Endgame. And I mean, that's kind of everything.
I think that Lost Ark is a better game than New World, like inherently. I think the combat looks a lot more fun and fluid. Yes, it's got its issues, obviously. But like, if I'm a player, I'm a consumer looking at Lost Ark or New World at playing those games, I'm going to play Lost Ark every time because it just looks better. I think that the raids look stronger late game. I see people having more fun with like the late game group content. It looks like the combat is way better. It looks like the graphics look good. The women are way hotter in Lost Ark. Like it, I don't know. Of course I'm going to play it.
It literally, like, there's 3 new MMOs.
Not that I would know anything about that.
That are even remotely noteworthy over the course of these past 10 years. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, to say the least. And when I look at the next decade of
Forgot she was sitting back there for a second.
upcoming MMOs, at least the ones that we know about that
You having a kidna? Yeah, we got that today. One of my viewers sent it to me. I'm proud of it. Her tits are incredible. Anyway, I bet she's kind of funny to talk to too. Great person. Her tits are incredible.
Currently in development, I gotta be honest, I'm seeing a lot of games here that are unlikely to break this trend. But there are some that have me at least a little hopeful, and that is what I want to focus on for the rest of this video. Enough of the doom and gloom. Let's talk about the MMOs that I think have the best chance of actual success and any longevity, at least for me personally, but also like thinking about mainstream. Are any of these games in the next 10 years gonna get
Throne of Liberty? Well, in 10 years,
into that top 10 list of the most popular MMOs being played by a wider audience. We'll see. Just a heads up though, this list is fairly short in terms of the number of games. Okay, so let's start off with the traditional MMORPGs. These are games that are more or less following the gold standard of the genre compared to the MMO lights or the shared world games, some of which we will discuss. But as for the traditional MMOs, we're talking the bigger open worlds with many players visible at any given time in each of the zones with the regular...
This is Chrono Odyssey he's showing right here. This look at guys, this is Chrono Odyssey right here.
Open worlds with many players visible at any given time in each of the zones with the regular questing, the dungeons, the raids, etc. The whole shebang.
Good,
what are the ones I'm excited about in this category? First up is Ashes of Creation. And let me just say this.
This is a joke. It's my mistake. I thought that we were talking about games that were going to release in our generation. It's my bad. I think that Ashes will be a great game for my grandkids to enjoy. And that is why I'm putting investment into I've not invested into it. That's why people are investing into it now. Okay, it's like putting away money for retirement. You know what I mean? That's why we call it Ashes of Never Being Created.
It's up front.
I'm just going to say it. Ashes of Creation is a scam. I don't care. It's a scam. But not because they're not developing a game. They are developing a game. The reason that I consider it a scam is because it has no end date on the project. Okay? You can't go to your boss and say, boss, I'm going to make you the best AI that anyone has ever seen. You're going to promise him, you give him a whole rap sheet of all these different features the AI is going to have and how it's going to blow all the other AIs out of the water and all this stuff. And your boss says, sure, here's 10 million, here's $50 million. 8 years goes by. Your boss comes back and goes, you come back to your boss. Hey, boss, I'm out of money. It's like, okay, where's the AI at? Where's all those cool features? And you say, I have 5% of that stuff done. But we are starting on the production of the other 95% right now. All I need is another $50 million and we're gonna get right on that shit. It's gonna be awesome. Well, when do you think it's gonna be released? No idea. Next decade, maybe. Honestly, 80% best I can do. Do you see how this is a problem? Okay. In my mind, it's a scam because Steven has sold it as this, it's going to be a finished project at some point in the near-ish future, right? So people think that they're investing into a project that is actually going to be finished within the next 5-ish years from now. It's not going to be finished. Guys, they're finished with like 30% of one of the biomes. Well, technically, they started on the desert biome now too. So we're at like 1.2 biomes of the 26 that they promised everyone, or whatever. We have like we have 6 total classes of the 190 that they promised us, right? Yeah, we're in alpha after 8 years of development. All right. And again, the game, I understand it's from, like, if you look at it from the perspective of like, yeah, they're a new development team. Of course, it's going to take extra time. Of course, it's going to take extra money and stuff like this. But like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And like, there's no end date on the project, which means that like essentially you're just funding people into oblivion. Steven gets all high and mighty. I pay my employees. It's a top 10 place to work at in 2024. Yeah, because you're not paying the employees. All of the people that funding your game are paying all of these people's salaries, their pensions, their fucking family's insurance, all of this shit, all the crazy benefits out of this shit. Great. I think it's a great place to work too. You have job security. You'll never be done. They'll never be done creating that game. Okay? GTA 6 will release before Ashes. That says something. Well, they actually know how to develop games and stuff. Like, it would be one thing if they had sold it as kind of a pet project and whatnot. But again, the game is sold way more than a pet project. Every once in a while, when you pressure Steven on it, when you pressure him on this issue, press him hard on this issue, he'll say, well, you should invest. It's just a project that we're just working on. It's for fun. It's a fun project. If you don't want to invest in the project, don't invest. But then he'll turn around and be like, guys, you can get access to our open alpha. You don't have to buy it, but like it's $500. You can come play test our game. Play test our alpha for $500. Okay? Okay? And to be clear, that's going to attract a lot of people because to them, that's a new MMO release. And that's because they sold it that way. And they made millions about it. They made millions off of it. Millions of dollars. It's a genius money-making scheme. It's genius. All you do is you say that you promise them the world, give them some crazy cutscene cinematic about shit that you've literally not even started working on yet. The desert, right? Like 8 years ago. Like some snail in the desert. Whoa, baby! Yeah, we haven't even started working on that yet, but yeah, just show it to them, pitch it as an idea. And then the community gives feedback on the idea, and you say, amazing. We'll start working on that right now. We'll change it just how the community wants it. Okay? And the community's like, wow, they really listen to feedback. Crazy. So they change it, and then they launch it again. They say, hey, here's the system we created with all the features that you said you wanted. Do you guys have feedback for us? And then the community says, you know what? We actually think that we want all of these different things changed about it. And they say, not a problem at all. We'll go back. We'll be back in 3 months. We'll take another $20 million. We'll be back in 3 months. We're going to fix all that stuff for you. You know what? I would be sucking my community's dick off too if they were paying me $50 million. Hell yeah. You kidding me? You bet your sweet 50s. I'll keep working on it. Don't worry about it, guys. I'm going to keep working on it. And then I'm going to launch it back to the community. And then, of course, they're going to give me feedback again. And then again, the cycle just repeats itself over and over and over again. And you're just feeding on these people's copium for infinity because there's no end date on this project. It's a scam. It's a scam. That's why I don't encourage people to invest a dime into Ashes of Creation. Let it go down. You understand that Steven films the Ashes of Creation like podcast, like the dev talk or whatever, from his multi-million-dollar mansion? Stop funding this multi-millionaire's pet project. Stop doing it. It's madness. Like,
I am far from one of the extreme fanatics for this game. I know a lot.
5 a.m. What are you doing? You're being entertained. You're welcome.
A lot of the people in the YouTube MMO creator space have been singing its praises from the ramparts, claiming that Ashes is going to usher in the next generation of MMOs. I don't think that's the case.
I liked Stoops' take on this. The game looks like butt. It just looks like ass, bro. Like the whole game, the whole cope on Ashes of Creation is always, it's an alpha. It's an alpha. Of course, it's an alpha. It's going to have issues. It's an alpha. It's an alpha. Bro, it's ass. Everything about the game is ass. They forgot to make the starting zone a safe zone for PvP. Aspen was killed in like seconds. Like it's crazy, dude. Like the UI is terrible. It's clunky. Like the combat does not look super great. The skill effects are butt. Like I just no, just it's not where it needs to be. It's gonna need it. And to be clear, I'm not saying they're not working on it, and I'm not saying that they're never gonna produce a finished product. It's not a scam. Eventually they will. 15, 10, 20 years from now.
Case at all, in fact, I doubt, if I'm being honest, that this game
Queenfall
is
better than AOC.
Of course. Because it's actually going to release. It's supposed to be an Unreal 5 and looks like it's Unreal 3. Well, here's the problem with Ashes of Creation. And that's why I keep calling it Ashes of Never Being Created. Unreal Engine 6 is going to come out. And these are going to be like, guys, you know what? I don't want to do it. But I think, man, should we make it Unreal Engine 6? I mean, it'll take longer, but I think it'll be better for the community. Guys, what do you think? And the whole community will be like, oh, yeah, that would be good. We're okay waiting for the game. It's okay. And you're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just have to redo everything. And they'll just fucking, we're going to need a lot of money to do that. And the community will be like, okay, we have more money to give you. Like, it's insane, dude. Boom, plus 5 years.
not let alone going to be the savior of the genre. I'm fairly confident it's not even going to break into the mainstream. If it does see success, which I think it...
Hell no. If Ashes of Creation released today, it would be comical. Now, I will say here, if they released with all the stuff that they've promised, everything finished, and all of the stuff that they promised, if it released today, it would break the entire genre. It would legitimately bring the genre to its knees. Everyone would be playing it. And that's the problem with Ashes, is they overpromise and underdeliver.
It'll likely be with a
Look
more
at these skill effects.
hardcore audience. Now that's...
I see better skill effects in Throne and Liberty.
Said, I can't deny finding elements of this game very appealing personally. And
Of course, some of the systems sound amazing. Some of the stuff that they talk about sounds incredible. The residential housing, the life skills, all the different interactions, the dungeons, yeah, all of that stuff. But you can promise to the wind and just never deliver on any of it. TNL's combat is ass. Have you seen Ashes?
What I like about Ashes of Creation is that their PvE content is actual PvE content. Easily the best, most challenging dungeon content in the MMORPG genre. Games like Black Desert Online, known for its PvE content, doesn't even come close to the challenge and difficulty. I would know, I cleared the latest new Black Desert dungeon and only Blue died like a bitch in there.
Is it a copy pasta? Yeah. Cannon said that in Stoops' chat when Stoops was talking about the new Lost Ark raid. Cannon said it in Stoops' chat. So naturally, chat picked it up and now repurposes it for everything. They said it about Throne and Liberty. It was a joke. I'm pretty sure Cannon was joking. No. I hope that Cannon was joking.
I think there's definitely going to be some fun to be had, and I'm looking...
Lost Ark PvE is cracked, though. I know. That's what made it such a meme. Lost Ark PvE is way better than Throne and Liberty PvE. What are we talking about? It's not even close. It's got like the best raids in the genre from my reckoning.
Forward to it. A lot of this is due to the fact that this game is pulling direct inspiration from the likes of ArcAge, which in my opinion had one of the all-time best open world PvP sandboxy play spaces I've ever seen.
Look at this ass, dude. Guys, you're watching this in 1080p. Just so we're clear. Look at the bottom bar right here. Look at the AI generated art that they used for the icons. Look how clear that looks. And then look at the screen. Look how blurry it I swear it. Like, look. Like, what the hell?
I just loved so much about ArcAge.
Underwater effect? Bro, like it doesn't, shit doesn't look blurry necessarily when you're under the water like that. Dude, do you think that scuba divers see shit in 160p?
When I played it in its alpha early beta, that any game even remotely modeled after it, like, it piques my interest. So development of Ashes of Creation has admittedly been on the slow side. We are now 7 years since the launch of the Ashes Kickstarter, with no full 1.0 release date anywhere in the foreseeable future. They are nevertheless making strides in their progress though. As you might recall, the game is currently in public alpha testing at this moment. If you're willing to drop...
No. Public is such a strong word.
$100+, you could start playing immediately. And while what is
it's in public. Yeah, you could access it. It's $300, guys. Good luck.
currently being tested is a shell of
Playtest, by the way. We need more playtesters, guys. We just realized we needed more playtesters. That was I couldn't believe it. We need more playtesters for the game. We have to have it. It's $300. I thought you said you needed new playtesters. Yeah, but we have to make some money somewhere. Well, wouldn't you get more playtesters if it didn't cost any money? Shh. Hush now.
of what they are promising for the game's final version, there's still somewhat of a game here to experience. Now, you can fairly easily find some in-depth coverage of the ongoing alpha, thanks to there being quite a few dedicated YouTube channels out there. And from the bits
-1, rest in peace, Narcoverse. Although, Narcoverse, he went down in a blaze of glory for Ashes of Creation, but now he's on to bigger and better things. God bless him. He's going to make content for games that actually exist now, so that's a win.
that I've seen of various videos from different creators, there is definitely something appealing here for me. Now, I did briefly play an early alpha. This was a few years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a fun enough time with it, and the game is looking much better now than it did back then. So yes, I'm looking forward to this. Although again, I will add there is still a ways to go. My honest to God educated guess here is that we will not see a full 1.0 launch until like 2028 at the earliest.
2028 at the earliest. That's 3 years, by the way. No way. No way. I'm telling you, 2035. 2035, maybe we see it. Add 10 years to your life.
And I would consider that an aggressively positive estimate. I'd say
it's aggressively
2030 is, and
There it is. See, I told you, bro.
that ballpark is more likely. Although I will add that people following the game's development much closer than I have said that my projected timeline is way.
They'll lose money if they release the game? No, they won't. They'll make a fortune. You realize that it's all a Kickstarter, right? It's funded by the majority of the funding comes from all of you guys. You've already funded. They can't lose money. It's your money. What are we talking about? Okay. Steven loves to talk about, oh, I've invested a bunch of my personal fortune. Do you know where Steven's personal fortune came from? Your personal fortune. Crazy. Guys, I've invested a massive amount of my personal fortune into my computers here and the backdrop here. Do you know where that money came from? You guys. You guys bought that Dark Knight. You guys bought those canvases. You guys bought these computers.
Way off.
My personal fortune.
And maybe so. Check back in 3 years. We'll see where we're at that point. Either way, whenever this game releases, I will absolutely be checking it out. Whether or not it has the potential to break into the mainstream, which I don't think it does. Regardless, I am looking forward to it personally. And
I think it'll break into the mainstream. I think that it would, if they delivered on everything and it released today, it would be massive. It would be big. But it's going to release in 10 years. It's going to be a flop because it'll have waited too long.
Hopefully it lives up to the hype that's been building over the course of these past 7 years. Next on my list is Arcade Chronicles. Now this one is actually slated to launch in the not too distant future. I am pumped for that. There's a closed beta test plan.
I have seen trailers for this. This does actually look pretty good, to be honest. I am very worried about the monetization in this game. But I would play it though.
And for later in this year, and the full release is scheduled for the first half of 2026. Now, the TLDR of this game is that it is a new spin on ArcAge, although how much of the original game's DNA remains, we'll have to see. We do know that there are a few big changes for starters. So the combat is now action, replacing the original's tab target.
I can't emphasize how much of a W that is. As long as we don't have an ESO situation on our hands here, this is an objective W. Okay.
The developer has stated that their goal here is to deliver combat that rivals that of single-player action games in terms of its responsiveness and the gameplay feel. There's going to be a larger focus on PvE content. In particular, it looks like we'll be getting much more in the way of traditional MMO dungeons and raids, which the first game did have some of, but it was far from the focus.
The graphics look really good,
They're also putting less emphasis on the open world PvP, with instanced PvP taking priority. And we know that housing is no longer going to be fully open world. Instead, they'll be...
I just hope that there's large scale PvP. Honestly, I don't care. Instance PvP, sure. I hope that there's large scale PvP. I do. I don't know if that was a thing in the original ArcAge, but dude, man, Large scale PvP is where I that's where I live.
Be going with instance player houses in specific areas, which means no more land grab at the fresh start of servers, which
Arcade is open world PvP. Well, not anymore. It's not, I don't think. I like open world PvP, and I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with it, right? But like instance large-scale PvP, I'm okay with instance large-scale PvP as long as there's large-scale PvP. I want to cosplay a general commanding soldiers in an army and having us win the day.
which may actually be a positive change. Now, beyond those things, it does appear that at least some portion of what I loved about the original Arcade is going to be present. We're going to have the fully seamless open.
I saw your Guild Wars 2 YouTube videos. It's still worth it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to be going back to play that in probably about 20 days. I have that scheduled. Guild Wars 2 on the near horizon. I'm going to try to do a full playthrough of the story and then try to do some PvP stuff. It's going to be fun. It's a fun game for sure. It seems like a smaller community, but believe it or not, there's a huge following for Guild Wars 2. People really like that game. And for good reason. It's very smooth.
World. There'll be the variety of traversal options with gliders, boats, and scheduled carts that take you from one place to the next.
Also, the mounts are... Guild Wars 2 does mounts better than any other MMO. Don't care. Change my mind.
There will be trade pack runs and caravans, which brings a whole lot of interesting gameplay. And while not emphasized, it does look like there will at least be some areas that have open world PvP. The things that we're still unsure of include whether or not they're going to have the similar crime and trial system where you can commit crimes like stealing other players' crops, and if you get caught, could be thrown in jail and brought before a jury of other players.
Oh, that's sick. That's cool. That sounds fun.
They're going to use a similar class system where you select from multiple trees, each based on traditional RPG roles and playstyles, with correspondingly themed skills like there's a tank tree, a brawler, a rogue, a ranger, a healer, etc. And then you pick the three you want, and that three combination determines your class. In total, that original game had 220 potential combinations and individually named classes, which was really cool. And we also are unsure of whether or not they're going to have any of the original game's sandbox elements, like the fact that you can plant trees, herbs, and other crops literally anywhere.
That is fundamentally core to the game. I have to believe that a new Arcade would still be a sandbox.
Where in the world, and then like tend to it and watch it grow and then harvest it when it's ready, which was really cool. Now, however any of those specifics shake out, I am nevertheless hopeful for this game, with the main caveat that I expect monetization to not be great. I'm hoping at best.
Yep, that's what I'm worried about too. But let's be honest, we played Black Desert Online and Throne and Liberty. We're used to the pay-to-win slop trash. But I'll be real, I think that Arcade is a step beyond either of those two. I from what I understand, I think that the pay to win and like the other Arcade games are just unrivaledly crazy, bro. Like literally insane.
In this regard, like that they avoid selling power or convenience and just keep it to cosmetics. Although I'm really not holding my breath. We may very well, at the very least, get convenience sales, if not outright power. Either way,
I don't really care if there's hot. I know. And I shouldn't think this. I should take a hard stance against pay to win in MMOs. But at the same time, I don't really mind if there's pay to win in the game as long as there's a certain line. Like my line for pay to win is you can either play 1 hour or spend $40. Because I believe that the vast majority of people are going to play the hour over spending $40. Especially if you have to play an MMO for thousands of hours. The money is going to add up very quickly. Very quickly. This is generally the acceptable line for pay to win that I can find. The problem is games try to push this down to like 30, down to 20, down to 10, and then everybody pay to wins, and then it just destroys the game.
Trailers have been enticing. A new iteration of Arcade.
I know, and show me an MMO without pay to win. I know.
Is something I'm looking forward to. I will definitely give this game a go. And also on the plus side, it's coming out somewhat soon, which is great. Moving on to the third and final of the traditional MMORPGs on my list is Chrono Odyssey, which...
Let's go! This is it, guys. This is it. This is supposed to come out in Q4 of this year, by the way. Again, I've heard some crazy shit about this game. I can't say any of it because technically the people that told me were under like strict, well, they weren't necessarily supposed to talk to me, but I will also say it looks really good, guys.
As of today, is scheduled to release very soon. They've got closed beta testing planned to take place in the next couple of months here, with
It's already taken place.
a full release scheduled for Q4 of this year. That is right. We should be playing this in 2025, apparently. Now, Chrono Odyssey is a traditional open world MMO. The game's going to have real-time action combat with all of the basic attack, defense, and dodge mechanics. It's also going to have weapon swapping, which I know can be quite divisive. A lot of people hate this. I don't mind it so much. But one interesting note here is that not only will this weapon swapping mean changing your skill bars, but apparently they're going to let you alternate holding weapons in one or both hands, kind of along the lines of how it works in Souls games, where you can alternate from having it in one hand or wielding it in both hands and then having one hand in an offhand, which sounds like it could be really cool. They've got 6 confirmed classes, each come with 2 weapon specializations. There's the swordsman, the paladin, the sorcerer, the berserker, the assassin, and the ranger. They also have a rather unique mechanic where every character has access to this ability called the chronotector. This allows you to freeze time, rewind events, and even explore other timelines. Now, they've not really provided specifics as to how
Didn't like that, CC? That rewind 3 seconds.
this is going to be implemented in game, but it's probably going to be along the lines of like time rewind, how it works for mages in WoW, where you can go back 5 or so seconds to the literal character position, health, and mana that you had at the time. Or maybe they're going to have like a sphere of influence where there's this bubble area in which time goes backwards or projectiles get slowed. I don't know. We'll see how it works. Beyond those things, we also know that Chrono Odyssey is going to feature an open world with seamless exploration between zones. They've got a weather and dynamic seasons that will take place. There will be open field events that they say hundreds of players can participate in. We'll also have world bosses, random procedurally generated dungeons, and large-scale realm versus realm battles, which is...
I'm so stoked! Dude, it has so much potential! Bro, like straight up, dude. Is it a Cacao game? No, it's not made by Cacao, but sadly, it is going to be published by Cacao. That's what makes me the most nervous. But the game has a lot of potential. Where's Shy? As far as I'm aware, this game actually doesn't allow terrorists to be involved in the game, so I think we're safe.
Is another way to say big group PvP. So the trailers that they've released look good, although they're clearly not representative of actual gameplay, right? I mean, this is not real gameplay here.
Obviously.
Although again, it is a fairly decent looking and sounding traditional MMO.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, this looks like it's kind of gameplay, right? This looks like it's gameplay.
And it is coming out soon. I will say though, similar to Arcade Chronicles,
This looks like gameplay.
I'm basically expecting the worst when it comes to monetization here, though I would love...
I don't know if I can say it. I will not say it, but I will, as far as monetization goes, this is one of the things I'm actually most excited for. That's about how I'm prepared to say this.
to be surprised. I'm not expecting
I think it's going to be really well monetized.
to be. Still, either way, I'm looking forward to kicking the tires, giving this game a ride around the block. Best I hope for is that it's fun for at least a few weeks to a month. Now, in terms of traditional MMOs currently in development that we know of and are going to be launching anytime soon, that basically does it. Like, those are the 3 that I'm actually excited for. However, there are a few MMO lights that I'm also quite keen on.
He didn't say Dune, did he? He didn't even say Dune. Ashes, which is never going to release in the next decade. Arcade Chronicles, which should release sometime this year, and maybe next year. Chrono Odyssey. Those are the 2 that I'm stoked about. He didn't say Dune, bro. It's good.
And I think deserve a mention here. Soulframe.
How's Cacao's monetization? Cacao monetized Black Desert Online and published Black Desert Online for the first few years that it was in the West. It is atrocious, horrible, and the worst thing you could possibly imagine. It is atrocious. I hated it. They also had the worst community management team I have ever seen in my life. But hey, surely they've gotten better.
This is the next game from Warframe developer Digital Extremes. I have already...
Is it worse? Was it worse than now? It was way worse when Cacao was in charge of things. way worse. They forced you to buy weight. They forced you to buy inventory. They never gave that shit away from free. Like the 5 pets that they gave away now, and then the login reward pets and stuff. They maybe gave 1 pet away a month, and you had to log in all 30 days of the month to get to the pet. And if you miss a single day, you're cooked. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. They hard throttled you on basically everything. Yeah, Silver had weight. Well, that was part of the game. I think that, again, when Pluribus took over, they basically changed a lot of things to make things quality of life, and then they lightened the bar on all that stuff. Have they made it worse in some ways? Absolutely. But they've definitely lightened the load. In my opinion, a new player can try BDO now and have a lot less overhead than back then. Back when I started playing BDO, you had to drop $500-600 on the game to really be able to play it for 100 hours, like competently. Nowadays, if you want to play BDO for 100 hours, you could feasibly not spend any money if you wanted to. Gaslighting? I'm not gaslighting.
Replayed it, and although bare bones in its current implementation, I quite enjoyed it. The TLDR here is that Soulframe is like the inverse of Warframe in terms of
What the hell is Soulframe?
its setting, its world, and its combat pacing. So this is the third-person fantasy action combat game. You go around fighting enemies, completing events, solving puzzles, and collecting loot. All of this is set in a world where nature has been corrupted by this evil force. You gotta fight the force back. It's basically like a bunch of aliens came down and they're polluting everywhere, and you gotta push back the pollution. That's the general gist of it. Now, the early version of the game that I played, which was referred to as the Preludes testing period,
This combat doesn't look super great, but the game looks okay.
divided into 2 primary sections. You've got the world, the top level, which is an open world made up of different static points of interest with roaming enemies and camps all over the place, along with the Undercity, which are these underground, subterranean, procedurally generated dungeons. And the game has you bouncing between these 2 areas. You're going to spend some time moving around the open world, visiting points of interest, fighting groups of enemies, collecting loot, and doing objectives, after which you're eventually directed into one of several underground dungeon entrances. You go in, you move through its various hallways, which are placed together procedurally, clearing enemies, solving the occasional puzzle, collecting loot, and then eventually you find your way to the exit, emerging back into the open world. Rinse.
This kind of sounds like Warframe at home. I don't know. That's not as exciting to me. It didn't sound like there was going to be much group content there. Like,
and repeat, like that is the core loop of the game. Open world.
It is Warframe. I get that, but Warframe looks better than that. That's what I mean. It's Soulframe. Obviously, the same people made it, but like, it's just Warframe just looks better. Why wouldn't I just play Warframe?
Exploration, doing stuff, go into a dungeon, move through the procedural place rooms and hallways, leave back into the open world, and up and down and up and down
I
you
don't
go.
consider
You
that
do
an
this
MMO
over
either.
and over and over again, with the primary motivation being power progression, as doing the aforementioned activities grants you experience, leveling up your character, your class, and your weapons, while you also accumulate resources and currency that are used for crafting new weapons and armor. That open world, come release, by the way, is going.
Like, bro, you honestly gonna tell me this looks better than Warframe? Bro, if I pull up Warframe right now. IGN, but okay.
The Warframes.
This isn't gameplay, IGN. This is ancient, by the way. The game is way better now, too. This is 12 years ago, by the way. Doesn't this automatically look better? This was 12 years ago. It already looks better. Yeah, the graphics are worse, but like they've upgraded the graphics since then. If I do recently uploaded, 2 days ago. Here we go.
All right, who's ready for the next song?
I don't know what this K-pop shit is, but
It's not looking for a 6th member. Damn, that's a rush.
you honestly gonna tell me that this game, this right here, looks better than that? Are you crazy? That looks way better than this.
Going to be a shared
Am I wrong? Like that shit looks way better.
space from what I gather, where you will see other
Why the
people
fuck would
running
I play
around.
this?
From what I understand, this should be along the lines of what they do in games like Destiny, where you will inhabit
It kind of looks like New World. Yeah, but worse though, right? Because you can't interact with everything in the world and shit. Like, I'm sorry, but like,
instances of these open world zones, and other players will be coming and going. And then of course you can group up with people, you can invite your friends, but yeah, you'll see other people in this shared play space. And that's
I would rather play First Descendant. Why would I play Warframe? I would rather look at porn. Why would I play First Descendant?
basically the gist of it. Even just this early iteration, I really like. I love the world, the lighting and environments look great. There's a lot of cool puzzles and secret rooms and mini games. NPCs in the game have a ton of character. I liked all of them, but my favorites were probably Verminia, the blacksmith, and then this little sprout creature, which is super cute. There are some early concerns, the number one of which is probably the combat. Definitely still needs a lot of work. It's quite floaty. It doesn't have a lot of impact to it.
Combat
Enemies
looks way
barely
better.
react half the time that you hit them, so they need to really hone in and focus on improving this. The game was also incredibly easy with almost no challenge whatsoever. Pretty much everything was face roll, and there wasn't a ton of content, but you know, it's a pre-alpha build that I was playing, so I wasn't expecting that. That said, it's still very early days, and as a baseline, I really like this. I'm not even sure if they're going to be entering early access this year, but whenever this comes out, I am playing it 1000%. I already really enjoy the basic skeletal framework they have. I can't wait to see them flesh it out even more.
I am not sold on this. I would still rather play Warframe. I think that this is just, it looks objectively worse.
Dune Awakening. I have talked about this game a lot, maybe too much, but I don't care because despite any early concerns, I can't wait to play this. As a big fan of both survival games and...
You can't spell disaster. Well, you can't spell without forget it.
MMOs, this is just right in my wheelhouse. And even if the combat is a janky...
You can't spell disaster without starting to spell Dune. F you guys, okay? I was trying to figure out if all of the letters were in there, but if they're not, I just forget it.
Mess like it might be, and the servers are a total disaster, as they probably will be. I'll be playing the hell out of this game when it comes out regardless. In fact, I'm so pumped. I can't believe it's just a couple months away. Now, if you somehow haven't seen any of my prior coverage, I will give you
I have reacted to most of his videos about Dune, and I've looked at the Dune stuff in my free time. I think that the systems sound super intriguing and look really fun. And the idea of like the survival and playing with your friends and joining a faction and doing politics all sounds awesome. The combat looks like shit, particularly the melee combat. The graphics don't look good, but you know what? I don't give a fuck about that. They're passable. Who gives a shit? But like the other systems look really solid. Really solid. I don't really care much about building my own base in the desert and shit. I don't really fucking care about that. But like going out with my friends and trying to attack spice gathering places and like locking down key zones and doing those events and stuff, that sounds fun as fuck, bro.
Basic rundown, but
most of us don't have friends to enjoy this. True. And the women aren't hot enough to goon to, so just taking that L.
there are timestamps below if you're sick and tired of hearing me talk about this game. I totally understand, all right? So Dune Awakening. This is an open world sandbox survival crafting MMO. It's being developed by Funcom. They are quite clearly and admittedly building upon the foundation they laid with their prior survival game Conan Exiles, but new, improved, more...
Because Conan was a great success.
More MMO with more shared world spaces, specifically in the end game, and obviously also set in the Dune universe. As for specifics, notable information includes the game's gonna have all of the basic survival crafting features and systems. You'll gather resources, make items, build a base, craft gear, get stronger, go explore enemy camps, and engage in PvP. That is the foundation. The explorable space consists of these two separate massive open zone regions. The first one, called Haga Basin, said to be larger than the entirety of their prior game, Conan Exiles, with somewhere around 100 hours worth of content to play through just in that one region. And then after that, when you progress into the end game,
God, these graphics are bad.
Content to play through just in that one region. And then after that,
my God, dude, I had better graphics in Star Wars: The Old Republic, man. Like,
When you progress into the end game, it's going to have you moving into the deep desert, and this is where all the late game progression comes into play, as well as the large scale PvP. In terms of the type of stuff that you're going to do in the open world, they've got a variety of points of interest, public events, and content types. There's enemy strongholds, which are large elaborate bases, camps, ruins, and such, full of enemy NPCs. You go in, you clear them out, you collect loot and resources. There are the desert testing stations, which is their take on public dungeons. These areas are mostly underground and can come in a variety of different biome types. These will be full of enemies, and some of which will also have a boss encounter at the end, although they have been clear that these aren't like traditional MMO dungeons, and they're more akin to something like shelters in Fallout or the dungeons in Skyrim. There's going to be a lot of narrative in here. You're going to find things like data pads and audio.
my understanding was that there would be PvP open in some of these. I can't wait for the people to like hide in here and just shit on you.
Logs giving you
It's like it reminds me of Sea of Thieves, where somebody would just hide on the island and wait for you to spend all of your resources and time clearing all of the pirates and solving all the puzzles, just to immediately sink your ship and farm you, and then take all the loot. Simpler times. I love that game.
Detailed lore background to that area, and the bosses are just going to be like tougher variations of basic enemies rather than
No, I never got to camp people. I was never that smart.
like bosses.
I just don't have that patience.
In a World of Warcraft dungeon, for example. We've got events such as these crashed ships, where you're going to see a ship falling from the sky, crashing onto the planet. If you go over there, you can scavenge for its resources. There's this police force at night where the security ships will scan the planet looking for players. If you get spotted, they call troops to your location. There's the sandworm, which is an ever
I think it's going to be like Conan and US Aid. Well, let's be honest. It's not a money laundering scheme. Okay. I don't know how they're going to launder money through this shit.
present threat. If you spend too much time on the sand, if you make too much vibration, the worm's going to get summoned forward and chase you around, and it will kill you if it catches up to you. They got player hubs with these major towns that are full of vendors, quest NPCs, other players, as well as a marketplace where you can buy and sell items. And then the end game is that region of the deep desert, which is this massive expansive zone made up mostly of sand, but with rock islands dotted all throughout. Guilds of players will be headed here in search of large quantities of spice, which is a main resource and currency for the endgame crafting and progression. And then in that region is where this large-scale PvP conflict will take place, what they have referred to as combined arms, which is like sort of like a battlefield or planet-side experience where you've got tons of players all mixed in a variety of combat with ranged and melee weapons. There will be ground and air vehicles, artillery, that whole thing, just big scale.
All of that sounds incredible. So you see what I mean? Like the systems and shit sound amazing. I'm really worried about the gameplay, bro. I'm so worried about the gameplay. And the graphics are a little rough.
Chaos. Again, think battlefield or planet side. That's what they're saying they're going to deliver on with the big group PvP in the end game. And that is the basic rundown of the game's combat and features. Now, like I said, survival game plus MMO in a shared world. Two of my favorite genres smashed into one. I'm just so pumped for this. Now, if you hated Conan Exiles, if you think that is a garbage game, you're probably best on avoiding this. But for me, I'm really excited to dive in. Also, this is like the only game on this in this video with a set release date, as Dune Awakening is set to launch in May 20th, 2025. I'll be playing it. Maybe I'll see you there. Another MMO light that I wanted to talk about.
I'll be there regardless, so that you guys, if you're nervous about playing it, you can just watch me play it. And if it's ass, I will just shit on it. And if it's good, you will see that. And then you will know that you're able to play it.
And I'll admit that I might be pushing the boundaries, including this here, but I want to mention Light No Fire. Yeah, here's the thing. They're promising a massive, true-to-life, real-world size planet in a fantasy setting with other players inhabiting that same space, which is...
Okay, that's never happening. That's insane.
Is all very cool in theory. Of course, this comes with a disclaimer that, hey, Hello Games' last title did not fully deliver on...
Shocked! Surprise Pikachu face. I can already tell I've been lied to too many times as an MMO player. I have been lied to too many times. No, it's by No Man's Sky. Well, wait, that's different. No Man's Sky. Wait, whoa. No Man's Sky, they brought it back. Those devs, I would trust those people. Those guys got down to business. No Man's Sky, yes, they under-delivered when it launched, But those developers got down to business and without asking for a single extra dime from people, like made the game awesome. Okay. I would trust them if they were making this. I would play it then. If it was those guys, maybe they'll under-deliver at the start, but I trust them to absolutely kill this shit.
Promises, but also
Damn it. I'm turning it off.
they've got over 7 years of consistent free updates that they've added to that
What is
game
that,
to the
3
point
video?
where it is widely considered quite good. No Man's Sky is one of those titles that's like quietly super popular with a large dedicated fan base, and they seem to be doing very well for themselves. So as for details here about Light No Fire, they said it's more ambitious than No Man's Sky despite taking place on a single planet. Their goal is to deliver a lot more depth and detail in that explorable space and say it should feel less shallow. They claim to have
When you're not really
built a game that is Earth-sized, an entire planet with a lot of various places to visit, mile-high mountains from on the top of which you're going to see rivers, canyons, oceans, and continents beyond, all of which can be traversed to and explored. Sean called Light No Fire the first, quote, real open world, something without boundaries, with us getting some glimpses of that in the trailer. It was also said
I don't know, man. That sounds, even for those devs, that sounds way too good to be true. A full world where you can fly around and like have open world PvP potentially, or like shit to do all over the place. Like, I don't know, man. I don't like, it's way like an MMO like that. Way too good to be true.
that they're going to let everyone play together, alluding to this being a big shared space. But because it's so
That's what I
big,
mean.
you're not actually likely to see everybody. You will come across other people. Now, they also promised that in No Man's Sky and weren't able to deliver on it at launch, but it is now the case that you regularly see other people in that game. So I'm fairly confident that they are actually going to do what they say they're doing here. And then finally, they say they want to bring the depth of a role-playing game to the freedom of a survival sandbox with Light No Fire. And while the focus of the reveal centers on the scope of the planet, the final game is going to have a lot more traditional RPG features with character creation, going through a sprawling fantasy story, a lot of gear and progression systems, a large variety of enemies, bosses, and so on. Now, I know
I don't know, man. No dungeons, no raids, no PvP. Doesn't sound like there's gonna be any PvP. I don't know what the draw is. You know, you're just gonna go in an RP with characters that look like that. How the fuck am I even supposed to finish?
I'm not alone in thinking this could be something special. I think probably my biggest hope, though, is that they can really have a lot more depth and way more interesting combat
Rabbit ass! Exclamation point, Jesus. Seek help.
than No Man's Sky had. And if they can deliver on that in this fantasy shared world that they're pitching, I mean, it could be unreal. Now, Light No Fire doesn't have a release date at the moment, maybe late 2025, but I'm guessing it'll be sometime in 2026 at the earliest. Now, beyond those games, reality is at the moment, my largest hope for a new great, like traditional MMORPG mostly comes from games that are way far off and we know little to nothing about. Of course, that list includes
These are the most exciting games because our entire MMO community basically lives on copium.
the League of Legends based MMO coming from Riot.
Yeah, that'll be here in the next day. Honestly, here's the hot take. I think that we will get the Riot MMO, which is still in development, by the way, confirmed. They just had to restart on it. I think that we will get this before Ashes of Creation. I'm just saying.
The ZeniMax Online Studios, they have a new IP, the same developers of ESO. There's that new Ghost MMO from Ghostcrawler. And then Sony reportedly still has one of their 2 Horizon MMOs in development, one of which was canceled, but apparently the second one is still coming from Guerrilla, as far as we know. And the reason for my interest in these games is that they have the financial backing and the development studios likely required to even take a crack at breaking into the genre's top 10 list. And so I'm hoping that
The reason why we all just want Riot to do it is because everything that Riot touches is basically solid gold when it comes to their primary game releases. We just won't talk about the small indie releases for some of their games, but like for their big releases, League of Legends, Valorant, even the card game, which I'm blanking on the name of, and TFT, all of that, massive successes. They just nailed it every time. They just get it. You know what I mean? Caitlyn Bikini Skin. Okay, homie. One, your name is Caitlyn from Arcane, and I respect that. She's my first main in League of Legends, and I respect you. Number 2, that skin looks like it was drawn by a 10-year-old. Okay? It is my least favorite Caitlyn skin. It makes her look the least hot. It is disgustingly bad. Let's take a look at it. Hold on. Never mind the fact that I'm my entire algorithm right now. Here it is. Pool Party Caitlyn. Kindergartners draw this shit better. This is total ass. Compare this to any other of their other like new skins. Okay, it's good. It's good in game. What do you mean, homie? It's mid at best. It's mid at best. Compare this to any other skin. Any other skin. Honestly, Evelyn splash art. This is just the splash. Honestly, where's the one with the thigh in it, bro? What the? Oh, they took out the. Whoa, holy shit. I need to not. Okay, I would just focus lock in. Look how much better that looks. Look how much better that looks. Holy shit. What are we talking about? Like, that one looks hand drawn. It's ass, bro.
One of, if not all of them, actually deliver.
Caitlyn's super hot, but also, I'm not a woman, and she's lesbian as shit. So, you know, it is what it is.
But again, the fact is, we pretty much know nothing about any of these games other than that they exist and they're in development, let alone have a clear picture or expectations for how good or not they're going to be. So really, it's just wishful thinking at this point. Now, there are way more.
Yeah. The in-game does look better. Of course it does. But like half of it is the splash art and the loading screen, man.
MMOs on the horizon than what is covered in this video. But to be frank, I just don't have a large degree of hope for most of them, in the sense that I don't see them having the sort of staying power any of the genre's current heavy hitters have. Although I would love to be wrong, genuinely. Like, just
Guild Wars 3. I think Guild Wars 3 could knock the socks off people if they do it right.
Just take a look at my yearly list video for every upcoming MMO, and you're going to see 30 plus games that are currently in development set to release in like the next 5 or so years. Maybe a few of them exceed my expectations for both my personal enjoyment, but also in terms of large scale success. I hope so. In fact, I'll say that there is inevitably going to be some MMOs launching in the next 3, 5 to 10 years that do catch fire, and that is something that I entirely welcome. In fact, I'm praying that happens. But as of now, the games I'm most interested in and excited about, yeah, it's pretty much Ashes of Creation, Arcade Chronicles, and Chrono Odyssey. As for the
dude, being excited about Ashes of Creation is crazy. And that is, by the way, part of why I'm upset about Ashes. That's why I don't like Ashes. That's why it's a scam. People think it's going to come out in the next 5 to 10 years. It's just not.
Traditional MMOs, then followed by those MMO
like you're comparing it to 2 MMOs that are going to be out this year. Do you see how that's a problem? Like,
Lights or Shared World bunch, which includes Soulframe, Dune Awakening, and Light No Fire on the list. And then a lot of my hope for those bigger budget games are the ones we know nothing about. That Riot League MMO, the new IP from ZeniMax Online, Ghost MMO, and then Sony's Horizon MMO if they don't cancel it in the next year. Though I will add one final note. My pipe dream that I mentioned in the recent Monster Hunter Wilds review is that I would just lose my mind if we ever got an MMO version of that sort of game.
Do not put that idea in my head. Like, Monster Hunter, for those of you that don't know, Monster Hunter is like, in terms of like franchises that I love and games that I've liked in my life, Monster Hunter's easily top 3. It's like Black Desert, StarCraft 2, Monster Hunter, and then there's a few. It keeps going. It's probably top 3. Probably top 3. I love Monster Hunter. It's so much fun. And I have this super hot take. This is going to be crazy. It's going to piss a lot of people off. I'm about to AoE taunt chat. I like Monster Hunter and think it is an objectively better game than the Souls games. I don't care. I like the theming more. I like the environments are way better crafted, in my opinion. Souls is just, oh yeah, it's really dark, it's gloomy, and the boss is just some scary ass thing that's can kill you a million times. This, I'm a biologist, dude. I like the outdoors and stuff. Like, I appreciate the ecology, the hunting of the monster, the uniqueness of each of the bosses, and how they interact with their ecosystem and the other monsters around them in the ecosystem. It's just better. I don't care. It's better than Elden Ring. It's better than any of the other Souls games. You. Okay, if just exclude the UI is total ass, but we get around that.
Game. Imagine
People are gonna hate me for that.
the depth of the combat system and the boss fights in a Monster Hunter game, but in a fully seamless open world.
If I got this in an open, seamless open world, I would literally change main games in a heartbeat. I would be like, note, lock in. We are going to be making. If they made Monster Hunter the MMO, we're going in.
With other players and things like dungeons and raids and enemy camps that you go after. Like, it would be so cool. Or even,
dude, the dungeons could be like you going in with a bunch of friends to fight like a super monster that, like, you know, came to the area or whatever. Oh, dude, holy shit. Nothing wrong with not liking Souls games. I like Souls games, just not nearly like I would just way rather in every case play Monster Hunter. I liked Elden Ring. I don't like the other Souls games. I just don't. They're too dark. I don't like. I want to play more upbeat games than that. I'm not somebody that likes horror games very much. I loved Resident Evil 4, but like it's because I played it so much that it was comical. Like nothing scared me anymore. Like I watched my brother play it a bunch, then I got into it, and there's like, okay. Aside from that, that's it. Like I just hate scary games. I don't like dark games. It just has a lighter feel to it. You know what I mean? It's different than being scared. In the Souls game, you're like, oh my God, this is like eerie and scary and like Cthulhu shit. You know what I mean? That's like my brother's into that kind of shit. When you're in a Monster Hunter game, it's more like I'm like the Giga Chad that's going to be like going up against the super epic like monster that's like threatening the town. It's just totally different to me. And like that monster fits into the environment so well, right down to the design on them. I'm making a YouTube series about this. I'm going to break down every biome in Monster Hunter Wilds. We're going to do it one video at a time. It's going to be awesome. We're doing the desert first. It's going to be sick. We're going to talk about each of the monsters in that biome. We're going to talk about why they're designed the way they are. Look at the little details that you might have missed. Talk about the desert biome in general and why it's so well designed, and appreciate that essence of the game. There is none of that in Elden Ring or any of this stuff. Do they nail the graphics? Of course they do in Elden Ring, right? And it's a different place, but like again, the ecology of Monster Hunter is really what pulls me into the game. Like the monsters live in this world and you're here to kill them. It's just so cool.
Even just like an
you know what I mean?
MMO version of a game like Elden Ring, my God, I would lose my mind. The premise is so appealing.
Monster Hunter Online shut down in 2019. Well, it wasn't an actual thing.
To me, I just don't know if
Elden Ring has great design. It does. It's a phenomenal game. Dude, I fought Tree Sentinel for 9 hours. It's on my YouTube channel. By the end of it, I was running back to Tree Sentinel. Tree Sentinel, I've come to bargain. And by the time I killed it, it was super sick, right? Like I was like, we did it. It was so great. It was great, right? And we fought a few of the bosses beyond that. I never did finish Elden Ring, but we fought the first like 2 or 3 really big bosses, like the big cutoffs for the game. Didn't get all the way to the end because apparently you have to fight like demigods and shit at the end, which are like insane, like actual gods and all this crazy shit. Never got through all that stuff, but like I put a decent amount of time into it. But it's a fun game. It's great. Elden Ring is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I prefer. It's one of those things. You like this. I prefer this. Monster Hunter, in my opinion, is an objectively, I would way rather play any Monster Hunter, like World or Wilds, than any of the Souls games. It's just that simple.
It's like technically feasible. At least no one's delivered on that sort of a concept as of today. Well, that does it for this video. A look at the upcoming MMOs that I'm actually excited for. If you think I shortchanged any game, any upcoming MMO or shared world game that you are personally very interested in, an upcoming MMO that you think deserves to be on this list, tell me why below, because I am all for getting hyped and excited for something new.
Guild Wars 3. I think you missed Guild Wars 3. Great video, though. Great video, though. Like, I mean, if you're going to put Ashes of Creation on the list, you got to put Guild Wars 3 on the list, right? It's like not even a question. It's not even a question.